Life is full of storms. As Christians, we may wonder why a loving God would allow such trials to enter our lives. But we must remember, God is not the author of suffering. He uses even the most difficult experiences for our good and His glory. He is a loving Father, and like any good father, He disciplines those He loves. These trials are not meant to break us, but to refine us, to mold us into the image of His Son. Just as a silversmith uses fire to purify silver, God uses trials to purify our faith. The heat may be intense, but it burns away the impurities, leaving behind something beautiful and valuable. He sees our potential even when we don't see it ourselves. He knows that through these trials, we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more dependent on Him. Remember, God is faithful. He will not allow us to be tempted beyond what we can bear. He promises to be with us every step of the way, providing the strength and grace we need to endure. We can face these storms with courage, knowing that He is working in us, even when we can't see it. Sometimes we drift away from God. We become distracted by the cares of this world, our hearts growing cold and distant. It is in these times that God, in His infinite mercy, sends storms into our lives. These trials are not a punishment, but a loving wake-up call, drawing us back to Himself. Imagine a shepherd who notices one of his sheep wandering away from the flock. He doesn't abandon the sheep. He goes after it, guiding it back to safety. In the same way, God pursues us when we stray. He uses trials to get our attention, to remind us of His presence and His love. He longs for us to turn back to Him, to seek His face and find comfort in His arms. These storms, though painful, can be a catalyst for spiritual growth, driving us to our knees in prayer and dependence. Often, trials expose areas of sin in our lives. Like cracks in a vessel, these hidden flaws become visible under pressure. God, in His love, allows these trials to reveal these areas so that we can confess, repent, and be cleansed. The Bible tells us that we are like clay in the potter's hands. Just as a potter molds and shapes clay into a vessel for his purpose, so too does God desire to mold and shape us. He wants to remove our rough edges, our impurities, and our imperfections, transforming us into vessels fit for His use. This process of transformation requires surrender. We must be willing to yield to the master potter's hand, trusting that He knows what is best for us. We must be willing to let go of our own plans, our own desires, and our own will, and embrace His perfect will for our lives. We may never fully understand why we face certain trials in this life, but we can be certain that God has a purpose for each one. He is using these experiences to shape us, to refine us, and to draw us closer to Himself. So, the next time you find yourself in the midst of a storm, don't despair. Instead, ask yourself these questions. What is God trying to teach me through this? Is there sin in my life that needs to be addressed? Am I holding on to something that I need to surrender to Him? Remember, God is faithful. He will see you through this storm, and He will use it for your good. Embrace the storm, knowing that on the other side of your trial awaits a stronger, wiser, and more Christ-like you. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more inspirational content.